Good day, viewers. Welcome to a new edition of 30 Minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television with me, Manir Dan Ali. Our guest today is someone who has been here before. I'm talking about none other than Dr. Usman Bugaje, who is an activist, if I may call him that, and who has been a member of the House of Representatives and was the political advisor to former Vice President Atiku Abubakar when he was the Vice President. Dr. Bugaje, welcome to the program.
My great pleasure, Manir.
Thank you. The current issue of politics after the demise of former President Muhammadu Buhari, what's your take on it?
Well, first let us pray that God shower his mercies on the late Muhammadu Buhari. Subsequently, it may take a bit of time for things to crystallize, but perhaps there is no harm in anticipating what might happen. He was at stage.
A towering figure.
Yeah, the towering political figure because of the expectations that people had, on him. And he was able to galvanize the votes of the poor and the downtrodden because of the image that was projected of him as the man for the poor.
The Megaskia, the one who
exactly. Now
is truthful.
Now that image has suffered quite, but that kind of charisma may still be there in the larger, wider society in one way or the other.
You mean there could be someone who could also have that kind of aura?
No, not yet. What I'm saying is that the remnant of that
could still be there for someone to exploit.
Yes, but at the moment, there is some kind of vacuum. And it is that vacuum that is allowing, if you like, the ghost of Buhari to continue to echo in the political chamber in the north until someone comes out with an agenda that resonates with the wider society. It may take a bit of time for the North to get a replacement for a person, a political figure that might gather or galvanize that, wider society within the North. Now, the fact that this vacuum is there itself may elicit someone to step in. We don't know who, and we don't know how, but what is important is that for anybody to step in, he has to develop an agenda, and he has to speak the language of the poor, and he has to be seen to care about the poor.
So now, someone that is maybe in some instance in the mold of a Buhari, maybe somebody who may be selfless, who is ready to serve for no immediate maybe gain, and someone that people could feel they can trust. Is that the kind of person, or with the changed circumstances, will it be something different?
No, trust is very important because that is actually what is missing in our politics. So if somebody comes who many people can trust because he has a track record of, if you like, selflessness, service to the community, then people are more likely to be attracted to that kind of person. Because one of the major features of the politicians that makes it difficult for people to rally around them in that large number is precisely the fact that many of them are selfish. They live a life of exclusion, of comfort, and a life that
doesn't connect with the
ordinary people. They have their own tricks of visiting people who are sick if they are prominent, or attending funerals or attending social events so that they can improve their visibility. But people over time can differentiate from those optics, which politicians are very good in crafting, with the genuine desire to actually improve, the life of the ordinary person. And here, Manir, I would want to say that the North, going forward, needs to appreciate the fact that at the moment, there is a huge political vacuum. All the other individuals and characters that are playing politics at state level or even at some other regional level do not measure up to the expectations of the wider society. What people are looking for is some kind of Aminu Kano or some kind of Sardauna. That nostalgia is still there. And what is it that defines these 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people that people are looking for? Basically, you might reduce this to 3 things. 1, selflessness, people who are not selfish. 2, integrity, the fact that they are not known to have committed any...
They are not sitting on some questionable wealth.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they are not known to be involved in deals and the kind of thing that, people...
And then you check their own record of public service.
And 3, they have a vision for their society. I mean, Kano, even though he was in opposition, he had a vision. And he connects to the ordinary people. Sardauna had a vision. In fact, since Sardauna, we have not had a northern leadership, political or otherwise, who has a vision and is always trying to see how can he build his own society.
But many in the present day, because in the First Republic there was the regionalism, each region on its own trying to compete with others. But now there is this conscious effort to become one Nigeria. Probably that is why it's so difficult to have a Sardauna, because you can only aspire to be a governor in one of the 36 states or the president of the whole country. So there is no northern thing, though in people's mind it is still there.
Manir, people observe, and even if you are a local government chairman, that's perhaps the lowest cadre. If you are able to play a Sardauna or Aminu Kano or any of these there, people will get to know.
Like the celebrated local government chairman of Malumpashi, who was said to park his official vehicle after work, and ride his bicycle home.
So it doesn't matter where you are, whichever level you are. You might even be a minister, but it is that display of selflessness. And these things cannot be faked. Those who faked it, it doesn't take time for the mask to fall off. People see you for what you are. And you have seen some of the politicians that started with such a cult following.
Just claim.
But over time, not a very long time, people get to know that these people are not really what they said they are. And we can now see how they have done this, they have done that, and it becomes, yes, it's disappointing, and then people start to recede, behind, and they are still looking for. So I just want to draw our attention to the fact that the North needs a figure that, a political figure or even a religious figure, but preferably a political figure who can carry the 2 major religions, and then be able to focus on the welfare and the future of the northern community.
But isn't there too much nostalgia in all this? Because we keep looking back instead of looking ahead. We are talking of the Sardaunas, the Aminu Kanos, and now even the Muhammadu Buharis, who are all no more here. Why aren't we more focused on the future, like the big challenges in the North? Education, the economy, and what have you.
I appreciate the point, and this is a very important point to dwell on. When people start looking back, it is always because there is nothing forward to look at, right? Nobody has
nothing
come.
in the present.
Yeah, in the present. This is what I'm saying. In the present, nobody has done anywhere near what these people have done. This is why they keep looking back. But if, for example, you are able to do a lot of things, then of course people will be looking at those things and they will be aspiring, you know. So definitely there is that deficiency, you know, since the demise of these people. There is that deficiency, that lack of selflessness within our, you know. There are people like General Shehu Yaradua in his own time.
Who is also no more.
Yeah, he's no more. But in his own time, he did something to galvanize the North. And he did create a wave within the North. But for the fact that he got into the trap of, or he got into the
military politics with the Abacha
and,
regime.
What happened? You know, he would have emerged as someone, because Shehu had a vision. Shehu, even though he was, he grew up in, if you like, a comfortable home, and within the power circle, you know, but he was down to earth. He was not flamboyant, as you know.
Like Buhari,
yeah,
who was his friend incidentally.
He was, Shehu was very much down to earth. I would say far more than Buhari. Definitely, I've had the privilege to,
with them.
Yeah, and he was far more skillful in trying to attract, mobilize, and organize in a particular, you know, direction. So it's these kind of people that we're basically looking for. And
but why do we tend to have dead heroes instead of identifying the heroes while they are still alive?
No, when Sardauna was alive, and when Aminu Kano was alive, you know, they were living heroes because people admired them, and people, you know, came out to support what they are doing and to learn from, you know, their statements there, and some of the things are known more after they would have left, because the stories that were told after and the documentation is amazing. I mean, for example, Sardauna, if you remember his house in
Kaduna or in
Rapa Road,
right.
You know, there was a butcher who used to, and he was of Nepu. Anytime Sardauna was moving at that junction, you know, he would shout words, you know, of Nepu, Sawaba, and the rest of it. Sardauna would listen, and he would still smile and just pass. A few days, he didn't, you know, hear that usual kind of, you know, remark, and then he asked what has happened to his friend. They said, honestly, he ran into some financial trouble. He could not pay back, you know, the cattle that he was taking on loan, and something happened and he could not pay, and he's now in prison. Sardauna paid for the money to get him out of prison, and he made sure that nobody told him that it was Sardauna. Over time, he got to find out. And until he found out, he came back and he was shouting the Sawaba slogan, you know.
He didn't know that Sardauna was his benefactor.
But he eventually got to know. And then anytime he now was passing, he would say, Allah kala maka imani. You know, may God increase your faith. The point I'm making that this is how Sardauna was, you know. I mean, they treated opposition with decorum. And they won over people, you know, with a sort of, with a lot of grace. You know?
I would want us to dwell on the opposition when we come back from this short break now. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, it is 30 Minutes, the interactive program of Trust Television, and our guest today is Dr. Usman Bugaje, a former political advisor to former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, a former member of the House of Representatives, and an untiring activist on the Nigerian issue. Dr. Bugaje, you were alluding to the treatment of opposition in the First Republic, how Sardauna, the dominant political figure in the North, was dealing with even people who were opposed to him, who were shouting at him as he passes every day on his way home. Yet he was like tolerant of their position. Why is it so different now? We see, like the current administration, that appears to have is one clear goal of undermining the opposition. We see what is happening with a sitting minister of the government in the main opposition party, the PDP. We see the crisis in the Labour Party. We saw a picture of the chairman of one of the factions of the Labour Party visiting the same FCT minister that is the linchpin of the administration's operation Destroy the Opposition. Why is it so?
Well, let me first, shall I say, correct. Sardauna was very tactical with his opposition. He was not oppressive. He was very forward-looking. And, of course, there were breaches of what Sardauna was doing at provincial levels. There were, oppressions of opposition at some level. But the point is, at the level of policy, this was the policy. And so I just wanted to emphasize that. Now, coming to what we have today, Sardauna and Aminu Kano and other politicians of the time were statesmen, essentially. There were people who cared for the next generation. What we have today are thugs that have found their way into politics. Oh, yes.
Why such?
Because what they are doing is thuggery. What they are doing is thuggery. Look at their character. Go back to their history. See what they were before. Many of them have not been to school properly.
But they are our leaders today.
Yes, it's a tragedy, but it is. Many of them, just take a sample of 10 prominent politicians. You'll find nearly half of them have question marks about their certificates, whether they have actually earned them or they have not earned them or what is happening to them, and go back to the other history. So these are the kind of people that
But some
have.
of these are maybe political claims. Remember, even with late President Buhari, there were people who were questioning his certificate until his principal showed up with.
But they were not fabricated out of nothing. There were genuine breaches that were being looked at, and I mean, you may sort of say that, okay, maybe there is not sufficient evidence to go to the court, but courts. There are courts and there are courts, I mean, the court of public opinion does understand.
Which is different from the normal court where you have to prove your claim.
Exactly. Does appreciate that there are certain things. So the character of these people, and look at the kind of stealing that is taking place.
Again, no proof. That's an allegation.
It cannot.
A lot of times, it's maybe usually after the event, when the government is no more there, that is when we can find out what truly happened, even with the case of some of the Buhari's ministers.
There are sufficient evidence to establish a prima facie case. Maybe if you go through the courts, they will find a way of convincing the court otherwise. But when you give a contract in trillions to a company without due process, and that company has one of your children as director.
Yeah, talking of the coastal roads.
Exactly. So what is there more to say?
But that's just one case. In any case, I want us to dwell more on...
There are a number of cases.
How the opposition is being treated and the opposition's own reaction to it, now that they are getting into a coalition.
I mean, this regime and the one even before it, were treating opposition with a lot of hostility. They cannot engage because they are not people of ideas. The whole politics has been reduced to the politics of big man. It's my turn. That is the new conversation. It's not that I can fix this country. No, it's my turn. And if you are to probe that turn to do what? It's basically turn to rule and turn to relish, the opportunities of power. Appoint who you want, and you can see the pattern of appointment. Do what you want, take what you want, say what you want, and so.
But why is it the case? Because you are a legislator. Why is it that the legislature has grown silent? Is just singing Hosanna and Hallelujah to whatever the executive is
because,
doing?
Because they are all birds of the feather, of the same feather, and they flock together. If you were to have brought very confident, properly educated people with integrity, they will not allow this mess to be taking place. Budget It is one organization that has specialized in budget analysis. They came out with an analysis that shows that in this budget for this year, there were over 11,000 padded projects, which means you are inserting a project that is not going to be executed.
But the pattern has been there maybe since your time.
Fair enough. Maybe the magnitude has completely changed. Over 11,000 getting to nearly 7 trillion naira. And all this money, if they succeed in raising it, is all going to go into the pockets of a cartel of politicians. Now, the point is, people who will do this, you cannot expect them to really care about the ordinary people. And remember what the President Senate was saying on the eve of these young people going to come out, against bad governance.
Yeah, and SARS, all of that.
So and SARS also. So the point is, this kind of this kind of politicians that we have today are there because the leadership recruitment process is broken down.
And not just in the ruling party, even in the opposition party. Everywhere. You see it from the formation of the party. I was national secretary of a party, if you remember. Yes, of the Tinubu
and
ACN.
One of the things I struggled with during my period was how do we improve on that recruitment process?
Did you succeed?
I succeeded in
a limited way.
In getting a few things done. If I had lasted longer, if I decided to come back and continue longer, perhaps I would have done more. But sadly, it was a big struggle to be able to reorganize the party and see how you can bring in content. The parties that we have are just platforms, that individual politicians with a lot of money own and they buy off. And it appears after the elections, the parties have no say, as we've seen in the ruling parties. But the parties are run by the boys and the girls of the politicians. They are the ones who bring in. When we did the merger, I made this point, and Chief BC Akande supported me, that instead of bringing, each politician bringing his own person as to be executive in the party, rather, we make sure that there is a criteria. Even if you want to bring a person, he must satisfy this, and they fought against it. So and what happened? They brought in, some even brought their drivers. How do we get out of this mess? I mean, even with the opposition, because as you are saying, the opposition is not exactly too different from the ruling party. So how do we get out of it? Now the opposition that is out gets in, it will repeat more exaggeration what the current people are doing. There has to be a coalition, this time not to simply challenge the incumbent, but a coalition to come and fix politics itself. And this can be done. How? Time will not allow us to, but let me tell you one of the things we can do. If we're able to get a coalition of civil society, they can take a party, existing party, and they are not all entirely bad, will not fail to find a party that will allow this group to come in of very competent people with vision, with integrity, and then reorganize the party. And the party can say that anybody who is going to come as an official of the party has to satisfy certain criteria. From there, you can say anybody who is going to contest on the platform of this party must satisfy that criteria. No law, no electoral law, nothing in the Constitution that stops a party from defining the details and the qualifications, for selection. But many of the parties have this yet. By the time the party gets into power, everything changes, and it is the elected officials that determine everything. It is because the party is empty. It was just a platform to organize election and grab power. So the people they leave behind, they have no idea. And they cannot engage with the issue. They cannot talk to the people who have been elected.
So
they are paid by the people who have been elected. You know, memberships, you know, in my time, I tried to introduce membership fees. And one of the politicians then said, oh, you want to send away people. PDP was, you know, is giving money to people, and then you want people to pay money to us. I said, but I want us to be independent.
But even with that paying
of the
of
money
fees,
bags,
a big man can pay on behalf of all his supporters.
You can organize it in such a way that only the person will pay. Even if he shares the money for them to pay, there are certain things you can do to block that kind of thing.
So just before you go, what's your final take on the current move towards 2027 with a ruling party that is determined to cling on and undermine the opposition parties, and then the opposition parties that do not appear to be getting their act together very well and not to your satisfaction?
Okay, the first thing, let me say three things quickly. The first thing is that I'm worried if we can really get to 2027 in one piece. Manir, people cannot eat. People are dropping on the street and dying quietly. It's not covered. You open your house, you find a young person or a woman lying there almost dead. You have to bring food from the house, revive, and then the person starts working. People are dying. I mean, urban banditry is brewing. Insecurity is still with us. So all these crises, I mean, people have been feeding on their savings or relying on people who
can help, who have something extra.
Help. These funds are being exhausted.
But the government is saying that its policies are the most courageous things that it has done.
Government can say what it wants to say. We as citizens know what we know. And what we know is completely different from what government is talking about. And this is precisely why people don't trust government. Government is telling lies, a lot of lies. And even now, the opposition, that's the second thing. The opposition are focused only on grabbing power. They have not developed a vision for this country. They have not developed solution to the problems of this country. It's not part of their conversation. And they are doing the same tactics, you know, and they are focused on who will be president. They are not focused on how can we get the technical team to now start studying how do we go into government with people who know exactly what the solutions will be, so that within the first 1-2 years, we'll be able to solve some of the urgent problems, and then we can build on, you know.
Thank you very much, Dr. Usman Bugaje, for coming onto the program. I'm afraid we've run out of time and I had to...
That's fine. We shall continue some other time.
Viewers, that's the end of this edition of 30 Minutes. Keep a date with us.